Welcome back to Stories from the Unseelie Host. Tonight's story is a tale of terror from the mountain of Ben MacDhui, and it's a tale of the Am Fear Liath Mor, or the Big Grey Man. Let me recite it for you. On the mountain top of Ben MacDhui there stands a cairn, like in all the mountains of the Highlands. Ben MacDhui is one of the 6 great peaks of the Cairngorms, but it is a special peak, for on the mountain lives Am Fear Liath Mor. Not many see Am Fear Liath Mor, but those that do describe him as about 20 foot tall, covered in grey fur, walking on 2 legs. The thing that makes Am Fear Liath Mor scary is that very few see him, but everyone feels his presence. It's still being reported on today by mountain climbers that Am Fear Liath Mor is roaming Ben MacDhui, inspiring terror in every climber it can. I shall recite to you today the story, the eyewitness description of Am Fear Liath Mor. There was a climber called Professor Norman Colley in 1891, and he'd been descending from the mountain summit through heavy mist, when suddenly he began to hear the sound of noises and loose rock behind him, coming down a natural cairn on a high plateau. Every few steps he took, he heard a crunch, then another crunch, as the sun was walking after him, but taking steps 3 or 4 times the length of his own. He dismissed it as a hallucination, an oral hallucination, and he continued, but so did the steps. He also began to feel cold, dreadfully cold, dread, fear, a presence of evil around him, to the point where he became absolutely petrified. He was so terrified he ran headlong, never minding where he stepped, until he reached about 5 miles away. Now, normally this wouldn't be a thing, but he received a letter from a Dr. A.m. Kellis, who detailed his own strange experience on the mountain. Dr. Kellis and his brother Henry were on the mountain close to the summit when they saw a giant figure approaching them from the direction of the cairn. For a moment it disappeared from sight as it moved into a dip, but the men did not wait to see it reappear and ran as fast as they could to get off the mountain. Oh, but how you know that the creature of Ben MacDhui is after you is that you feel sensations of fear, uncontrollable fear, and panic with no rational reason. And the fog descends, unnatural fog shouldn't be there in the brightest of days, and the heat is powering down. Also, quite often a climber, although not seeing anyone, will feel a physical cold grab on their flesh, a grip or a brush. There is also a high-pitched humming sound, or the singing as it's sometimes called. The Grey Man, or Am Fear Liath Mor, does not want you on its mountain. Footprints are found on the summit of Ben MacDhui. Oh yes, the Grey Man is after you all. Not only does fear strike, but people will often run, heading over cliffs, just out of fear. So terrified were they by the Am Fear Liath Mor. No tale of any survivors of anyone that is caught on its mountain exists. Until tomorrow, people.